What happens when the largest land animal on Earth becomes a pawn in human history? We ride them, revere them, and sometimes break them. But have you ever stopped to ask, what have we done to elephants? What if the most powerful creature on land is also the most misunderstood? Elephants are celebrated around the world as symbols of wisdom, strength, and memory. But behind their majestic image lies a story that's far more complicated and far more human. We've ridden them into battle, trained them for worship, forced them into circuses, and fenced them into zoos. We've marveled at their intelligence and ignored their suffering. But how much do we really know about their journey? From ancient giants roaming wild landscapes to modern animals often trapped in cages or chains. Today, we're diving deep into the real story of elephants, their evolution, their entanglement with humans, and the silent crises they now face. You may think you know elephants, but by the end of this video, you might see them very differently. Let's begin. Elephants have walked this earth for millions of years, long before the first humans ever stood upright. They're part of an ancient lineage known as proboscideans, a group that once included over 100 species, from tiny forest dwellers to the massive woolly mammoths that roamed Ice Age plains. Over time, most vanished, leaving behind just 3 survivors: the African savanna elephant, the African forest elephant, and the Asian elephant. Despite their differences, all 3 share traits that set them apart from almost every other animal: unmatched intelligence, tight-knit social structures, complex emotions, and even rituals that suggest grief, empathy, and memory. They don't just survive in the wild, they build communities, pass knowledge down generations, and shape their ecosystems in ways few animals can. In fact, they're often called ecosystem engineers, carving out water holes, spreading seeds, and creating trails that other species rely on. These are not just animals of the wild. They are living legends sculpted by nature over eons, and now increasingly shaped by us. For thousands of years, humans have been drawn to elephants by their size, their intelligence, and their mystique. In Asia, wild elephants were captured and trained to haul timber, plow fields, and serve kings in war. They became living tools, never domesticated in the true sense, just taken, broken, and taught to obey. In other parts of the world, elephants were symbols of power and exoticism. Roman emperors paraded them in colosseums, colonial empires hunted them for ivory, and in more recent history, elephants became the star attractions in circuses and tourist rides, made to perform tricks under hot lights and heavy chains. Unlike dogs or horses, elephants were never bred for human needs. Their domestication came through domination, and with each generation, we moved farther away from reverence and closer to control. Today, elephants face an uphill battle, one created almost entirely by us. Habitat loss is shrinking their range at an alarming rate. African elephants have already lost more than 90% of their historic territory. Asian elephants are squeezed into increasingly fragmented landscapes, often clashing with human settlements. Then there's poaching, fueled by the illegal ivory trade, which claims thousands of elephant lives each year, despite global bans. In captivity, the problems are quieter, but just as severe. Most zoo elephants suffer from chronic health issues, psychological stress, and shortened lifespans. Many display signs of zoochosis, swaying, pacing, or repetitive behaviors that signal deep trauma. And in tourism, elephants are still beaten, starved, and isolated, all for that perfect selfie or ride. We've turned these sentient giants into commodities, and they're suffering because of it. So what does this say about us? We revere elephants in stories and statues, yet in practice, we treat them as entertainment, labor, or decoration. We claim to love them, but we keep them in chains. Maybe it's not just about elephants. Maybe it's about the way we view animals in general, not as beings with needs and emotions, but as resources to be used or displayed. As the climate warms, as wild spaces disappear, and as more species inch toward extinction, elephants have become a mirror, a reflection of our choices, of what we value and what we exploit. If we can't protect creatures this intelligent, this emotionally complex, what hope is there for anything else? If elephants could speak, what would they say about us? Would they remember our kindness, or the centuries of cruelty we've justified in the name of tradition, profit, or amusement? The truth is, we're at a turning point. We can't undo the past, but we can shape what comes next. You can help by refusing to support elephant rides, circuses, or any venue that exploits them. Choose ethical wildlife tourism. Support organizations that protect elephants in the wild, not cages. Share what you've learned. Talk about it. Because the more we understand, the more we care. And caring leads to change. If this video made you think differently about elephants, hit that like button. Share your thoughts in the comments. Do you believe elephants should ever be kept in captivity? And if you want more stories like this, about the animals we think we know and the truths we've yet to face, make sure to subscribe. Let's create a community that values not just life, but dignity for every species on this planet.